7 o'clock, we have a discussion for 4 farms. And Mary, do you want to start out?
I think I'll defer to Grace Lamb, who's here. We had a good meeting on Monday with Mia and Grace and a bunch of other people. I did send you guys an email update. And I'll just let Grace ask the questions that she has, if she's ready.
Hello, everyone. Thanks again for taking the time tonight. So I guess updates are that for the reasoning of today's discussion, and this was confirmed with Mary in Monday's meeting, that if we were to proceed with an NOI, the project in question is only the waterway between the old pond and the new pond. Correct. So that is where and Mia, I guess you're on too, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that is supposed to be the area discussion of why we need to file an NOI. It is not the pond itself that is requiring this, that is requiring or subject to the permitting and the filing. So that being said, we should be able to proceed with the construction of the pond and not touch or, break open the waterway until that NOI is complete. Is that correct to?
I can't sign in.
Is that correct to say? Yes. That is where if we are okay, and if the commission is okay and we're all on the same page there, then yes, we're going to proceed with the construction of the pond and not do anything to disturb the stream or waterway or whatever you want to call it between the old pond and the new pond.
So just to clarify, Grace, so are you planning on not using the stream as kind of an input to the pond, or are you planning on constructing the pond part and then, waiting till an NOI has gone through and then diverting the stream into the pond?
Well, I mean, that is wherein the question lies, right? So if we do not need, or the board does not seem it necessary for the full NOI to go forward, then yeah, we will construct the whole project as is designed by the NRCS. But if it's, I think just even getting on the same page of where the question lies that in the part of the water leaving the old pond and going into new pond, that is the project in question, right? And not the pond. There is no problem with the pond itself.
Yeah, this is what, we learned at the meeting on Monday, that the pond is exempt as long as it's out of the resource area. We know there's that intermittent stream. There's some possibly some bordering vegetation next to the stream, but that we haven't seen the plans for that yet. And so as long as you're out of that area, I think the DEP considers the pond project exempt. I think that's what we agreed upon on Monday.
Mary and everyone, through Chris, can I ask a question related to that? If during the NOI process, the commission has some recommendations or requirements related to the design of the pond, can they be proposed and implemented. I'm thinking just an example would be we might want to have the pond lined, either with clay or a synthetic liner or both, to minimize seepage. With the thought is less seepage to the pond means potentially more water available to go downstream into the intermittent stream. So, but this is a generic question. Will we have any say on the design of the retention pond as it relates to resources we're supposed to be protecting?
Mike, I can answer that question regarding that. I've seen this before. You're asking about the pond being lined, and the answer is yes. We're going to import some clay that we have to use to line the low side of that pond. So I understand the concern, but that is standard practice.
Mike, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Jim, but I think I'd still like a response to the question in a more generic form. If during the NOI process, if the commission has any concerns about the construction of the pond, can we address those with the NOI or not?
This question for Mia, Mike.
I can help if you'd like. This is Mia McDonald from Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. I'm the Wetlands Circuit Rider, and I'm here to provide technical assistance for the Conservation Commission. I just want to make it clear that I'm not reviewing the project, and nothing I say deems it to be a denial or approval. I'm just here to provide some technical assistance. So just to clarify, Grace's first point is that the installation of the pond in buffer zone or VLSF with no alteration of resource areas would come under 10.04 agriculture. That's the definitions, agriculture. In its section, agriculture. I just want to get the right reference. Under section C, normal improvement of land and agricultural use, and that includes the construction of water management systems, such as a reservoir, farm, pond irrigation system, etc. So that would be an exempt activity until you start to alter the resource area. And then we come in, once it touches the resource area, it's no longer exempt and comes in under section 10.535, which is the list of limited projects. And limited means rare and special. These are projects we understand have to happen, but they don't meet the performance standards of our normal resource areas. And so where Grace is proposing to alter in the plan I saw, proposing to alter land under water and bank, she does not have to meet the performance standards under section 10.54 for bank and under 10.56 for land under water. She just has to meet the performance standards that are listed in 10.535. And so when the commission does their review, this is where, sorry for this roundabout answer, but I want to make sure we get a little background. Mike, for you, when you're reviewing the pond, you want to review it under 10.535 and not under your normal performance standards for bank and land underwater. So under 10.535, Grace and her engineer at NRCS and Jim, her contractor, are required to come up with a design where they have, I'll read it under A, the notice of intent must be included as part of her farm plan. And Grace is doing that. She's working with NRCS to update her farm plan. B, they must show that they've avoided wetland impacts to the maximum extent practicable. C, they have to restore anything they possibly can. And D, if it's in habitat, this isn't habitat, so D doesn't apply if it's in priority or estimated habitat. E, they cannot alter more than 20,000 square feet of wetland of BVW. That's not alteration of the pond, the entire pond area. That's just of BVW. And I think they're going to be very far under that. And then F, there should be no filling or dredging of a salt marsh. So those are the standards the commission is going to want to review. You do want to have also construction BMPs to make sure that there'll be no alteration of resource areas during the construction period. So the commission will want to make sure that because remember, this is the agricultural limited project, which means that we understand that this is active agriculture and they have to meet a different set of standards, which are less stringent.
Thank you, Mia.
You're welcome. I hope that helped.
Any questions, Mike, or the audience? Any questions, Grace?
So to move forward, I think, I guess we would request that, like, we just come to a vote. Do we, one, knowing that we are already working with the NRCS and doing all these things, is the NOI still the procedure to go move forward? Once again, knowing that we've already been doing all these things, right? So is that what the commission is voting to do, to close this once and for all? And, you know, once the NOI process is submitted, knowing that the stream or that waterway or the land underwater, the NOI is only set forth for that part, that are the activities we can do tomorrow or whatever, the pond, and start doing the pond itself is exempt and we can move forward.
Grace,
then,
oh, go ahead.
No, I guess that's the ask is, okay, is like we can start tomorrow or whenever we have our full plans and we're just in question. The only thing that the NOI will review is the spillway, or I don't even know what you want to call it. I'm not sure what the technical term for that is. And once it's reviewed then and approved, then that will be the final part of the construction.
Chris, Mia through the chair. Sorry to put you on the spot again, Mia. What about downstream impacts off property? Will the commission need to consider those impacts as part of the NOI review?
They would be construction period impacts like sedimentation. During our discussion on Monday, Jim, the contractor, said he has a lot of experience with this and he has a plan in place to prevent sedimentation downstream. And that would be presented as part of the NOI. Then as far as impacts, we also discussed the impact of water, the watershed size. I did take this to Judy. You know, she's our wetland section chief and she's brilliant. So we looked at the watershed. It looks like this is a headwater that really just starts right across the street. So the watershed coming in isn't very big. So it's not like a part of a larger system. We're not going to be draining a large wetland. The wetland upstream obviously won't be impacted, but then as it comes through, there's really not much feeding it anyway. And the overflow is going to be designed so that the water can overflow and still keep feeding the wetlands downstream. So we at DEP, we don't see any real impact from the diversion of the small quantity of water from this proposed pond because it's not a very large pond or large impact. Then the other thing, there was one other thing we talked about was the commission may want to consider adding a special condition, just like you do with other projects, of like monitoring for 2 years. And if you do see an impact downstream as like the water's just not getting there, the withdrawal is too great. And if the withdrawal is too great, that means that Grace needs more water. She's going to be going back to NRCS and looking for other ways to get water. Just like she did with the well. She drilled a well last year, she tells me, and didn't get the output that she needed. So she went back to NRCS and made a plan B. So the commission could consider adding a special condition for monitoring that resource area downstream to and then adjusting the outlet if needed.
Okay, thank you, Mia and Mike. This is Chris. I just want to mention that as we've been saying for over a month, we do want to have the NOI filed, and I believe that was the consensus of the meeting on Monday, that NOI is needed. And I'll open that up to the commission members so we can hear their input as well. And before I do that, I need to ask who is phone number 505 then 69, so our clerk
Oh,
can.
That's
them.
me. It's Marcella. I couldn't sign in through the regular method. They won't let me. It blocked me.
Okay, thank you. So that number is Marcella Sasa. So opening up to the commission members for any other comments. If you say your name and what the comment is. And then
Chris, I still have a couple comments. I just want to, I'm unclear somewhat as to what the NOI process will actually allow us to do in terms of the impacts of the pond potentially on downstream resource areas, well, that's the main thing, downstream resource areas. Mia, to your point, I think that watershed based on stream stats is only about 80 acres, the whole watershed. About a third of it is upstream from the existing pond. I do have concerns that during the summer, during normal and especially dry periods of time, there will probably be no flow coming through that, over that, the weir for the new pond. I suspect there won't be enough water to both supply Grace's needs and to, flow downstream. I think the only thing we could probably be asked to monitor was whether or not water is spilling over the weir. Downstream areas are on private property for the most part. There's 2 private property owners. I don't know, and actually I suspect in one case we probably wouldn't be able to get permission to do any monitoring of the downstream wetlands. I'm personally more concerned about the intermittent stream than I am the wetlands. I think the wetlands will probably be, or are probably largely dependent on seepage. If you look at the topography, there's a steep slope. And I suspect there's a lot of seepage, supporting those wetlands that are associated with the intermittent stream. So personally, I'm more concerned about the stream than I am wetland impacts, and we really won't be able to monitor wetland impacts anyway, without a lot of effort and getting property owners to agree, which is a fairly dubious prospect, I think. So back to Mia. Do we have in the regs? Do we have any way to protect the intermittent stream, or is it just not a resource area that can be protected under this limited project?
I don't want to repeat, but I do think that, Judy and I looked at, you've got the small wetland system across the street, feeds in to we see the existing pond, and then the new pond would be slightly downstream from that. And then it feeds into a much larger wetland system that is fed from a few different areas. It looks like it comes in from at least 2 other areas. So we don't really see that this wetland is providing much to that downstream wetland resource area. So any impacts, I think, would be easily monitored from Grace's property, from the overflow, and then that short stint. And then, there's more, well, maybe about the same. I do see one more property owner before it gets to the larger wetland system, but it's almost like, and let me measure. The stream length on the adjacent property is 250 feet. It's pair of binoculars, I think it could be easily monitored, and the most impacted area would be at the outlet of Grace's Pond.
I have a question. Mike, this is Dave. Would the NOI be some way to actually at least clarify the connection between the 2 ponds where the intermittent stream is, and how that might be altered? The existing intermittent stream?
Was that for me?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was I'm sorry. I was kind of responding to Mike's question about what the NOI might or might not allow.
Mike, you're muted.
Sorry, I know. Yeah. I'm working on it. The section that's between the existing pond and the property line is not very long. And I suspect once the diversion to the new pond is present, how's that wetland going to be supported? And if it dries out, does it matter? Because it'll be less than 20,000 square feet impact. Again, like I tried to explain before, I don't think there's going to be, even with a diversion, I don't think there's going to be a significant impact to the downstream wetlands, and it would be impossible to monitor any impact with binoculars. You need to put a piezometer into the wetlands and have a reference station, and very complicated. Again, I haven't really gotten an answer about the intermittent stream. Is it a resource area that's protected by this limited project or not?
All resource areas are protected, yes. But the agricultural limited projects, all limited projects acknowledge that this project is necessary and it can't meet the performance standards. The most common is, culvert replacements and ecological restoration projects. They're not going to meet the performance standards that we're normally used to, but they're needed. Grace is trying to demonstrate that this project is needed, and that's why there's the requirement that all alternatives have been investigated. That is one of the performance standards of this section. This has to be the alteration of this stream, but we have to admit the stream is being altered as part of this project, and it is to maintain her agriculture business.
So just, I'll stop bothering you in a second. But,
it's no bother at all.
So an action on Five Forks Farm, which impacts a downstream resource area off of Five Forks Farm property, is permittable.
I think so. The pond, it's very clear that this is for, wetland resource areas are being altered to create this pond. And that's exactly what 10.535 is about. It says, limited project for the support of existing agricultural production, for the reconstruction of existing dikes, the construction of new ponds or reservoirs, the expansion of existing ponds, and the construction of tailway recovery systems or bypass channels. So we're acknowledging that this is a needed project. I'm not saying Grace's project. We're saying the construction of, reconstruction of dikes and construction of new ponds or reservoirs in existing agricultural use, which are necessary to support that agricultural use. We are acknowledging that wetland resource areas are allowed to be altered for that.
Thank you.
Do we have other questions from the commission? Hearing none. We have a motion to take a vote as to whether to require the notice of intent for this project.
Could I clarify that the project in question is the channel between the old pond and the new pond?
Could I recommend that to add to your clarification, what I'm hearing is I think Grace is notifying the commission that she will begin work in the buffer zone prior to receiving her order of conditions, but she will refrain from any work in a resource area without having her order of conditions in hand. And so that's when she says that the NOI is just for that work that alters the resource area. Is that correct, Grace?
Correct. The area between the old pond and the proposed new pond.
Do we have any comments or questions from the commission? Hearing none, we have a motion to take a vote on allowing this project to go forward with the notice of intent, with the project starting in with the notice of intent ongoing.
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, let's do a voice vote. Please identify
Well, hey,
your.
Chris,
Oh,
can we
yeah.
have some discussion, please? And my dogs are barking at the wrong time again.
And can we
Does,
just
does
for the
the bylaw apply? Will the NOI be for both for the Wetland Protection Act and bylaw?
it was my opinion that the bylaw would apply to the extent that it's the land does, you know, the land doesn't have a house on it, but our bylaw supports the state agricultural exemption, so it wouldn't be stricter than the state reg.
Okay, with that said, do we have any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, let's vote in support of notice of intent filed the construction of the one pond. Chris Scott, aye.
Tom, I.
Alan, aye.
David, I.
Sandy, aye.
Marcella, aye.
Mike, aye, reluctantly.
Okay, that's a unanimous vote of the commission. So that's allowing the NOI to be filed for the construction of the connection between one pond to the other pond. And I believe Mary's already working with me, with Grace on this. Is that correct, Mary?
Yes, I've been working with Grace and helping her get her forms ready and notifications and stuff like that. And just, I guess, I saw that your NRCS person was on there. I guess Grace and I were talking about the plans today, and we really need the full set of plans as soon as we can get those.
Hi,
Yeah.
this is Kristen
I
from SVT. Can you also please share any of the plans in the NOI with me as well?
Chris to Nathaniel, through Chris. I have a question. Can the pond, right now, the conceptual plan we saw is a rock spillway. Can the pond be designed so that it has a spillway where the elevation can be altered, say a concrete spillway with flashboards? So if we do find that basically no water is getting downstream during the growing season, the elevation of the spillway could be modified. Or is your design going to be just a rock riprap spillway?
Yeah, so I guess to introduce myself, my name is Nathan Hengy. I'm an agricultural engineer with the Natural Resource Conservation Service. And as per our internal designs, we look at the least cost alternative that can meet our standards. So I did not consider any concrete work in this project due to the higher economic burden that would have. As far as the adjusting the spillway elevation, knowing that this is an intermittent stream, there will be times when it's not flowing, just as in the current case. There will be times where, the existing pond is not at capacity and that outlet channel would not be flowing.
Does that answer your question, Mike?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the commission or the audience? Because at this point, I would like to thank all of the people who have attended this meeting to support the project and answer any questions, because it's really useful to have this much attention from other people. So thank you so much. So we have the NRC, SGT, Mia with the DEP, and other people as well. We appreciate that. And we will have this on our next meetings as the NOI goes forward. So thank you so much. And Grace, thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
May I say
Okay.
something real quick, Chris?
Yes.
If anyone has any questions, I am the wetland circuit rider. You can give me a call anytime about anything wetlands related, but even specifically about this project, contact Mary at Town Hall and she can give you my phone number or email. And, you know, I'm here and if you'd like, I'll wait to hear from Mary. If you want to invite me to the next meeting, that's fine too. I want to be available for any questions.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mia. We appreciate your help.
No problem. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, and our next hearing was an NOI for Robson Family Conservation Restriction, installation of a trail bridge and boardwalk, and it was continued.
Yeah, I'd like to request, Chris, that be continued again. Ground's frozen until spring, when we can look at soils in the vicinity of possible mitigation areas. Might as well just continue it. Maybe continue it until first meeting in April, please.
Okay,
It's April 12th.
how about April 12th at 7:45? Because we also have a 8 o'clock continue for Governor's Landing that same time. And now we have
Chris, can we have a motion to continue that hearing?
yes, do we have a motion to continue the hearing?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, and say your name when you make these motions. Great. Okay, so let's voice Chris Scott, aye.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Like I.
Sandy, I.
Marcella, I.
Okay, so we have the Robson Family Conservation Restriction, installation of a trail bridge and boardwalk being continued until April 12th at 7:45. And we have our 7:45 is the forest management plan discussion and having Joe Leiden sign it. So, Mike, do you want to take that over?
Well, yeah. I guess we have those two forest management plans. If anybody has any questions about them, if not, I guess. Well, first, are there any questions about either one of them? I don't know if people had a chance to review them. If not, I would just like to make a motion that the commission recommends that the town manager sign both plans.
Do you have any comments or questions about that? Okay, Mike, let's have one person make a motion to have Joe sign the plan.
I just made it.
Okay, do a second.
Second.
Okay, let's do a voice vote. Chris Scott, aye.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Like I.
Marcella, I.
Sandy, I.
And do we hear from Alan and David?
Yeah, Alan was an I.
Okay,
And
so it's a unanimous vote of the commission to have Joe sign the forest management plan. So that way we can get the funding for it. Okay, now I have one question. on our agenda we had for April 13th, the enforcement order for the community garden. Should that be the 12th?
Probably, yes.
And what time should we say that?
Whatever you think, Chris.
Okay, how about 7 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go up to our regularly scheduled. We have administrator's report.
I think we need to continue Governor's Landing as well.
Yes, that was continued until 8 o'clock on the 12th.
Just to vote on the continuance.
Oh, okay. Do we have a motion to continue Governor's Landing until April 12th at 8 o'clock?
So moved.
Do a second.
Second.
Okay, let's do a voice vote. Chris Scott, aye.
David, I.
Sandy, I.
Alan, I.
Marcella, I.
Mike, were you voting that?
Mike, aye.
So do we have everyone voting unanimously to continue Governor's Landing until the 12th at 8 p.m. And we had the enforcement order, the community garden, the community center project, and the VFW that's being continued until the 12th at 7 o'clock. Okay, so let's go up to our reports. Administrator's report.
All right, well, it has been pretty busy. One note, Dennis met with me yesterday, and the brook between United Parish and the town hall has some blockages in that, and it is in my agent's report, so we can look at pictures. But there's just some trees that are down that what he would like to do is have his guys in there on foot with chainsaws, cut the trees to remove them from the brook. There would be no equipment in the brook. He would have his equipment parked in the parking lot there at United Parish to kind of reach down so they could put stuff in it, but the equipment would not be in the brook. And in my opinion, we can kind of give him informal approval to just go ahead and do this work. And I will try to pull up my report so you can look at a picture.
Mary, with any of the debris from the fallen trees, will that be removed from the stream?
Yes, that will be removed from the stream. So here you can see, just branches blocking the brook. And here's kind of a panorama showing there's a tree down. It's not too bad, and I guess I should ask him is he going to leave all the leaves and stuff or just pull out the bigger branches? Probably if he pulls out the branches, the leaves will clear themselves out, would be my opinion.
Mary, why does he want to clean that out?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether this came about because people from United Parish talked to him. I can't remember what the motive was. His guys are so bored because there's no snow, and he's trying to find work for them.
Yeah, because if it isn't causing some erosion issue or anything else, to me, it looks like habitat. But
right.
I'm not strongly opposed, but I don't understand why, frankly. That's all. If people want to clear it, that's fine, but I don't see it.
I kind of agree, Tom. It looks like some nice little woody debris in there. If it's not.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's not really blocking the stream much. Not blocking a lot of flow or ponding, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if he has a reason for it, I'd be willing to listen to it, but I just don't see the reason for it. I just don't see the reason for it, but I am willing to listen to what he has to say, if he does have a reason.
Yeah, I know eventually there will be a proposal for a pocket park in the land, that area, beyond the brook. And they're going to try and spruce it up a little bit, but this isn't necessarily connected with that. They can put their proposal to clean the brook out forward then, if that was part of it.
Yeah, that would be my thought also. I mean, if we're going to make the park and you want to neaten it up and sanitize it, that's fine, but I don't see a reason for it right now.
I would agree with Tom.
I agree with Tom as well.
Do we need to vote, Mary?
I don't think so. He's looking for guidance, and I will give him guidance.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so the next item is I received an email from a lawyer about the Dean Pond Preserve, and I forwarded that whole email chain to you guys. I don't know whether you got a chance to look at it, but first of all, they're preparing a deed for part of the open space, and they wanted review on that. But it's only for, and I did not take the time to get the plans so you guys could look at it. But if you remember,
Well, I can explain it.
Oh, great. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, so the really big piece of the open space is being deeded to the state.
Okay.
PCR. So that should be in the works as well. And I think that's, I don't know if I remember correctly, roughly 60 acres.
That makes sense.
I could add too that this was an open space bylaw project. If the land open space was not held by the town, a CR would be required. So no CR is required on the smaller parcel because it's going to be town property. And we researched this, or Bill did. I don't remember, one of us did. The DCR does not put CRs on their own property, so they would not accept the property if the town demanded a conservation restriction on it. So hopefully that will explain it well enough for Attorney Klein.
Yeah, and I was talking with Mike, the planner, and he was reading the definition of open space under the open space regs, and it includes things like soccer field or whatever. So I think in his mind there was an open question as to whether it needed to be preserved pristine, and then there was and finally at the end of the email chain, which I missed originally, one of the new homeowners has a horse and wants to be able to go through open space B to get to the road. I don't know why she wants to get her horse near West Main Street. But that was a question she had, whether she could traverse the open space B. And I would assume yes, that it's for the homeowners to use as well as the town residents.
I don't recall those plans. It's been a long time, but I think the small parcel is pretty wet. So
okay.
Just
very wet, yeah.
I don't think it's got soccer field potential.
Okay. All right. And it's too small probably for that sort of thing anyway.
And I guess this is going to be a homeowners association. They may end up retaining some control over the open space. So we'd have to look into that to determine whether or not they have any say over whether or not a woman can go over it. Well, no, actually, no, it would be our open space. Yeah, no, in this case, I was thinking of Rockwood Meadows, but that open space is Rockwood Meadows.
Yeah, I mean, don't we oversee that open space in that there? And I wouldn't think in general, we would have a problem with somebody taking their horse through it. That's, just my
Probably
understanding.
not. The road, if it's retained, if it's private, then she'd also have to talk to the homeowners association about using the road.
Oh, so that road is a private road? It's not.
Well, it's definitely not been deeded to the town yet. So I just don't know what the long-term, what the plan is for that road, whether or not it's intended to be deeded. There was something in the stuff we just got that suggested to me that it was going to remain private.
Well, that would be her problem, I guess, then.
Yeah.
Great, thanks. That clarifies my question about the different open spaces. And so once we get back to the lawyer, the deed is going to need signatures. It's got everybody on the Concom's a line, but we may not be quite there yet. But just to be aware, we'll be needing signatures on it. All right. There were a few things from the staff meeting this week. The town is updating the website to it's the same provider, Civic Plus, but they're getting maybe the next level up or something. I'm not sure. So they really want in each board to kind of look at their page and see if there's anything that's maybe old or archaic that can be gotten rid of. And they're looking for pictures. And I actually haven't looked too deeply into our site, but I feel like we have a fair number of pictures that I just need to kind of make Joe aware of. But if people have other pictures of the town is what they're interested in. And at some point we may want to look at our page in terms of the left-hand border. It's got a lot of different things on it. And I don't think we have the capability. I wish we could subgroup those things, like have permitting questions here, like the application deadlines and that kind of stuff, instead of having, because the list is alphabetical. So, the applications are at the end, or it's not very well organized, and have like all the, the different conservation land stuff and different committees in another section. It would be nice to, I don't know if we can do that, but I would love to just at least have a better order on those things. And then I was surprised to hear this, and maybe you guys already know this, but there's an opening on the Board of Selectmen and on the Planning Board. And until when Denise said this on Tuesday, no one had submitted papers yet. So there was no interest. So just if you have friends or whatever. And I need
the deadline for submitting your papers?
Boy, you'd have to look that up, but maybe the end of the month. I'm not sure.
Okay.
She probably said, but I didn't remember that number. And then I should have been watching for this, but I haven't been. But the remote meetings, I think our extension is ending relatively soon. I can't remember the date, but I believe it's sometime in March or April. And the state legislature is working on an extension until 2025. I believe it's gone through the House, but not the Senate. So that's good news. Hopefully that'll keep going. And then Joe was just saying that because of extra expenses everywhere, he's probably going to come back to everybody and say, all right, you can't have your budget. So I don't know. Ours has been so level for so many years. I don't know that he would have any issues with us. Ours is not huge. All right, and then a final question that Dennis had for me, and I was looking at the order of conditions for the community center. There is a riverfront restoration area for there, and they were supposed to, of course, start that right away at the beginning of construction, and it hasn't been started yet. He wants to wait and not do it because the Grove Street Bridge is slated for replacement, and he would like to wrap that replication and restoration in the riverfront area into the Grove Street Bridge project. And so I was telling him, but he doesn't want to hold up the community center. And I was telling him, well, the best we could do, in my opinion, was to issue a partial for the community center and not give them a full COC until he submitted that NOI with the riverfront stuff. Or we just tell him, I haven't looked at the plans. I didn't think it was that close to his bridge work, but maybe it is. Or we just tell him, please do that restoration area now and start the bridge when you want to do the bridge. So
I think it's been a long time. I think there were also some bounds required.
yes, there's bounds.
There's a setback from the stream, so that might be problematic when they're building the bridge.
Yeah. And there's 2 years of monitoring for the restoration area as well. So if you guys think he just wanted the general opinion of the commission, if you think that path is an okay path. We lost you, Mike.
Oh, sorry. I'm fine with that approach. I know what everyone else thinks. It's okay with
Yeah, I'm okay with it too.
I agree.
Yeah, makes sense, Mary.
Works for me.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe we should. Should you guys want to do a motion for that, or?
Can we have a motion to give Mary the authorization from us to have the bridge continued for a later time? Or they're piling for their work near the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, let's do a voice vote. Chris, aye.
Tom, aye.
Alan, aye.
David, aye.
Sandy, aye.
Mike, aye.
Marcella, aye.
Mary, do you know when they were going to do the bridge work? Was it very soon, or?
Yeah, I asked him. He says they're at 25% design stage, and I kind of got the impression we might see an NOI this summer. I'm not sure if the work's going to happen this summer, though. And I'll make this.
Mary, in your packet, I saw there were some minutes as well.
Yes.
Are they things we should vote on?
Yes, there's a few sets of minutes. One that I had given you guys a couple weeks ago, the February 8th, and then Mike pulled together the June ones that were sent out today. So I don't know if people have had a chance to look at those. I know I had looked at those June ones earlier, and they just needed a little bit of tweaking. I remember because Trisha had done, or I don't know, maybe it was more than a little. Mike, you probably spent hours on it. But
yeah, it was like 2 hours.
Okay.
I wish I could have back, but her version had like 8 pages and it's down to 4. So
okay.
Something like that. So.
It looks fine to me. I make a motion that we accept both sets of minutes.
And Marcella, do you know the dates of those minutes?
No. June and February. What year? I don't know.
2020.
Someone can enlighten me on that.
It should be 2022.
It's 6/22, and then
June
the
8th.
February.
June 8th, 22.
Oh, was it June 8th? Whoops.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Let's do a voice vote. Chris, aye.
Tom, aye.
Alan, aye.
David, aye.
Sandy, aye.
Mike, aye.
Marcella, aye.
Okay, it's a unanimous vote of the commission to accept the 2 sets of minutes. So thank you.
And thanks, Mike. You're on a roll with minutes. He did a really big land stewardship job. So, a year's worth of minutes in one document. I was very, very impressed.
And do you have anything else, Mary, from your report?
I do want to talk about the Hopkinton Road determination, which I don't think I emailed you guys separately. I think it's just in the packet, but we can do that later under approve and assign documents, or do you guys want to look at it now?
We can do that now if you like. That's how it's in the packet.
Yeah. So the only thing with that is I was supposed to put together a planting plan, and that did not happen yet this week, but I did write up the paperwork. So what I would do is, I don't know whether, so we have 21 days after the hearing closes to issue the paperwork. So, planting plan, to be, it's mentioned in the document. We can look at it if you like.
Did you want us to look at it today or next meeting?
Well, I hate to go beyond the 21 days after the meeting. So let me just tell you what conditions I had written down. And I believe when you voted, you gave me the authorization to come up with a planting plan. So the conditions for the trees were stumps to remain, planting plan to restore shrubs to the disturbed area of the buffer zone to be followed, inspection after planting has been completed, and final inspection 2 years after planting's installed to ensure the establishment of plants. And for this one, I gave not only a negative determination 3, but also a 2, because one of the trees is within the wetland, but it will not. We figured it would not alter the wetland by cutting the one tree. And I will forward you the planting plan once I come up with it. But if you'd rather wait till that's there, I can just contact Greg and say, do you give us permission to go past the 21 days? And we can do that too.
Does anyone have a preference?
I trust Mary's ability to come up with a fine planting plan.
Okay.
I do as well. So how about if we make a motion to accept the planting plans and the order of conditions or the filing, and leave it up to Mary to finish the paperwork.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second?
Okay, let's do a voice. Aye.
Sandy, aye.
Mike, aye.
Alan, aye.
David, aye.
Ellen, yeah.
This is Uncle John. I just was thinking of my sister Ann, and I thought I'd give her a call. And but when this time, have Ann give me a call. Thank you. Bye bye. Talk to you later.
Huh?
What? I think we should omit that from our minutes. So, Ellen, are you an aye for having Mary do the planting plan?
Yep, I already said aye.
Okay, thank you. And David?
Yes, also aye.
Okay, thank you. And Tom? And Marcella?
Aye.
And Sandy?
Aye.
Okay, Mike?
I said aye too, I think I did.
Thank you. So the unanimous vote of the commission to have Mary finish the work and do the planting plan for 117 Hopkinton Road. So, Mary, anything else?
Yeah, we can go ahead and since it's Grace's first meeting, I can talk through the financials. She did prepare them. Most of that, we worked through that today, but maybe I'll present them.
Go for it.
All right, let me just share the screen here. And this is actually a question I have, just a procedural question. The voucher we have here is things that I think were approved at the Land Stewardship Commission. And does the Conservation Commission also need to approve the payment of this, or just Land Stewardship?
I think technically land stewardship has the authority, but we usually kind of just have conservation back us up on some of these votes. So, yeah, just to be certain.
And I like that because I was realizing that I don't always have access to the land stewardship minutes, and I'm like, oh, I can't remember what meeting we talked about that at, and because you're supposed to write the meeting date on there that it was approved. Yes.
Hey, Mary, those two need to be reversed. The Kimball Sand is 454.
Okay. All right,
Just
we'll fix that.
so you know that. Yes.
Thank you.
This is Bill. I just wanted to be sure that you attach the W-9 when you submit it.
Yes, I have that all printed out and ready. Thank you, Bill.
All right, great, thanks.
All right, so I guess we need a motion to pay these bills with the amounts switched.
Do we have a motion?
So moved. So moved.
Second.
Let's do a voice vote. Chris, aye.
Tom, aye.
Alan, aye.
David, I.
Sandy, aye.
Mike, aye.
Marcella, aye.
Excellent. It's a unanimous vote of the Conservation Commission to pay our bills.
All right, and so I wanted to give you the financial update since I missed it last month, and it doesn't look good in the conservation general expenses. And I did actually include in the packet a breakdown of what's been going on there, but that's because we have this $4,000 that we actually, poor John, we haven't. I don't think Kenny has paid it yet, so it hasn't gone out. This is once all of our bills have been paid, is what it looks like, and then we are going to get $4,000 back. So at the moment, it doesn't look pretty, but that's how it is. And if you guys want, I can go straight to that, kind of the general expense ledger, so you can see each item in there and to know exactly what we're looking at. Do that. Zoom in on it. And I've been kind of putting these in the category I thought they should go in, but maybe they're not all the right categories. So here you see the 4,000, which is the big number. And I think once we get that cleared out, we'll be pretty much okay. But we've spent most of the kind of general expenses. Land maintenance is over. I guess we still technically have 500 for open space. And then land stewardship still has, a little bit left. And this, you can see what the different cards or what the different expenses have been here.
So Mary, when you said that Joe mentioned that we should not expend a lot of funds, does that refer to this or next year?
It's next year. Yep.
Okay.
We're good for this year.
So will we do a level budget again?
Yeah, we were given a level budget. And even actually, Amy was looking at the report that she got from Kenny, and looking at Kenny's report, she's like, Mary, you got to spend your money. Because she saw the $9,000 and it looked like only, 200 or 2,500 had been spent, but that's because not all these have been paid yet. Right.
So we're good at spending our money.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yes.
So
Mary, so we're previous spreadsheet, we're minus 1,000 or so, including John's. Okay. John Clark, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's including John's payment, which he hasn't gotten yet.
Okay. Okay. Try to get Joe's signature quickly, and then once he signs it, the plans go to the state
For the FMPs. Okay.
Yeah. Could you take care of that, Mary?
Sure.
Getting then there's I think a form we're going to have to submit for reimbursement.
We'll figure it out.
For that, Mike, for that form, do we all need to sign it?
No, I don't think so.
And then where would that money go into?
Well, I guess it would come back to general expenses.
Oh.
So that's what we're paying John Clark out of.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Great. And Mary, anything else for financial?
I think that's it. Teams is wigging out on me. I'm trying to stop sharing my screen, but it's not letting me do it. So I'll keep working on that.
Mary, did we have any costs associated with the newspaper?
Oh, the newspaper?
Right.
Yeah. No, we haven't gotten our latest bill. It usually comes like literally the day after the meeting or something like that. But yeah, no, we paid our last one a couple weeks ago, so it's once a month.
Okay, thank you. And how about website, Ellen?
Website, I know Mike has a list of things for me to do, but I haven't done anything because I've been extremely busy.
Ellen, would there be anything on your list of things to do associated with what Mary was talking about with the website form display for the town?
Chris, it was just updating the Hike Upton page.
Oh, okay.
On the open space website.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you, Ellen, for doing what you do with the website. And open space.
I had a conversation with the chair of the Westboro Open Space Committee. They were approached by a woman who owns land on Bowman Street and abuts the Westboro line, who's interested in preserving it. And I gave them Christine Berry's contact information because they wanted to sell it to the state. Christine said it'd be more viable if it actually abutted state forest land. As it turns out, she's the aunt of the people who own the land that separates the two pieces of Upton State Forest between one piece on North Street and the other piece on Westboro Road. And they're interested in preserving the land. They're that land as well. So it's a total of about 80 acres. The starting point for that is whether or not the state's interested in it. And presumably one thing that can come out of that is we are, but you guys are going to need to help in some way.
Excellent.
Yes, that would make for a nice chunk, bigger chunk of Upton State Forest back there. That would connect those two pieces. And I would finally have land abutting the forest.
Any other comments or discussion for open space?
Well, I just got an email from Catherine Robertson, the family that lives next door to the Robertsons, has had the land on the market took it off. They're going to put it back on. But there may be some interest. There's a piece of that property, the Reed land, that's on the other side of Warren Brook and abuts the Robertson Conservation Area. They may be interested in thinking about doing something with that orphan piece at some point. That's it.
Excellent. How about Land Stewardship Committee?
We're just plugging away, nothing new.
Okay, and for new items, we had Samsung backup. Mike.
I just got an email from Joe. He had asked me questions about it, and we're basically not allowed to back up files like that. That's the short answer. So there's no point purchasing it. We can't use it for security reasons. We just have to trust that the offsite vendor, whoever the town hires, will actually will back up our files and be resilient in terms of like ransomware attacks and anything else that can happen. So.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Bill, if you would you want to go back to Reed just for a second?
Yep.
Because I have if I can share my screen. Might give some interest to people. Okay, can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the Reed property right here. The Robertson property is up here. Did this a while back. Just two conceptual trail layouts that would get you pretty close to Upton's West Upton. Neither one of them is really great. If you go with on the Reed property, you end up needing another what's the word? Trail bridge. That we're I think someone's been trying to build one. Anyway, so yeah, we need another trail bridge, or else you could possibly get. I think this property it's not built on, Bill. So I can't remember the name of that owner. I think we've talked about him before.
Yeah, Whitney.
Yes, and then so conceivably you could have a trail that would get you to Mechanic Street. The blue line I think is a lot more problematic. There's more private properties to cross, probably wetlands. So it's probably the pink line is probably the better option. But it would having some kind of an easement or owning Reed property on this side of Warren Brook would really be nice. The Reed property goes here too, and that's landlocked at the moment, unless someone tears down a house or something. But it looks like the Reed property could be, they could do that large lot reduced frontage thing possibly. They might not have enough frontage for two houses here, but if they do that bylaw, they could probably get in a couple of nice lots.
Yep.
So. Mike,
you're muted. Dave, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. I was just wondering, were you thinking about more of like a loop trail that hooked up to like Steffens, or?
Well, this the pink trail would lead right up to the Robertson Trail, which would lead through Mechanic Street to Steffens. Yeah. So this would be one way you could get from near the center of Upton to the trail system. Another way would be off of Warren through Pleasant Woods. And this would be a Riverwalk type of open space. I forgot to say, sorry, that this narrow strip of land that's kind of along the river, that's in tax taking. So someday the town will likely own it.
So anything else there, Mike?
No. Thanks for letting me share that.
Oh, sure. How about ongoing items? Anything from the MACC conference?
Chris, this is Dave. Can I just say this is my first time attending virtually, and it's been really great. I was able to do like 6 or 7 sessions. It was really good.
Yeah,
David,
I've been enjoying it too.
were you able to submit for a refund for the cost?
They give out quote unquote scholarships, I guess, to new members. So I saved the town like a couple bucks. So.
Perfect. Well, thank you.
Super.
So if anyone else attended that, please give your information to Mary so we can get you reimbursed. And how about Earth Day?
I know that Lynn Haggerty is, getting stuff organized. She's, I imagine it's the same deal, distributing bags and stuff that people could use for doing cleanups on the different streets. I believe they're doing the same thing they have done the last couple of years, is have people sign up to do streets throughout Upton. So you sign up for a street, and that's all I know about it so far. But it is underway. I believe that I don't know what the exact date is of Earth Day, if it corresponds with the. Hang on, let me just look at my. Yeah, it's on the 22nd, Saturday, and that's when they'll be distributing materials for people to use to do the cleanup.
Excellent. Anything else for ongoing items? Now, for site visits, did people do a site visit for 53 George Hill Road or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay. And how about approve and sign documents?
I think we did that.
Okay. So do you have anything else? Okay, you're not. For Grace, do you have any questions for us at this point?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And so with that said, can we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
So Chris, aye.
Tom, aye.
Sandy, aye.
David, aye.
Mike, aye.
Marcella, aye.
Do we hear from Mike yet?
I said aye, Chris.
Okay. So we have enough to adjourn at 8:29. So have a good night, everybody.
Yep. Good night, everybody.